Tēnā tātou, welcome everybody to March's Ōtorohanga District Council meeting. We could please begin with opening karakia, which you'll have on the second page of your agenda. Kia mati whakapono, mati tumanako, mati titiro, mati whakarongo, mati mahitahi, mati manawanui, mati aroha, ka taia e tātou. Thanks everybody. We don't have any apology this morning Council's meeting. Councillor Tamaki should be joining us online, I believe, and we haven't had an apology from Councillor Willison. I'll move on to the public forum. Actually, I'll go back one step because we've just do have words of wisdom from our wonderful councillor.
Together we build stronger communities. Let's listen, share and collaborate with open minds and kind hearts. Every voice matters. Let's make this meeting meaningful.
Thanks, Councillor. That's quite lucky for you three up the front there, because I was going to ask the words of wisdom out of all of you, but so you've been exempted from this, which is absolutely wonderful. So if I could please welcome Diana, Rebecca and Sarah from the RDA up to the front desk. And when you're presenting, I realise it's a tag team, so just be pushing the microphone, the right-hand button, which I'm sure Robbie will help you out with if you need some guidance.
RDA are delighted and privileged with the prospect of our new opportunity that we have moving forward with our new site that the Olivers have generously made available for us. I am the volunteer coordinator for Riding for Disabled. Sarah is our president and Rebecca is our equine manager. So you've got a broad depth of RDA here sitting in front of you. We've been operating for a number of years. We have 30 odd volunteers that come and help every Tuesday and Thursday. My job is to coordinate them. I call them angels without wings because they are beautiful people in our community. We have 7 horses. But most importantly, our riders that come from all over the King Country are so benefited by the therapy that RDA provides to them. The mental and physical well-being and confidence and improvement that we see in those children is absolutely amazing to see, and to provide a service like that in our community is something very, very special, and something that I think that as an entire community we should foster that idea and continue to make that available. So my job today is basically to tell you about RDA, which I've told you. Rebecca is going to talk about the possibilities moving forward that the Olivers have presented us and some of the challenges that we have. Where we are at the moment, albeit in saying that we are very, very grateful for the site that you provide us at the moment. And then Sarah is going to wrap it up and talk more about, touch a little bit on the business side of it, with the feasibility study. So that's me. Pass it over. Oh, you've got that.
Right, so I am sort of the representative of the horses, so I always put the horses' need first, you know, helping volunteers how to handle them and everything. But yeah, the current site is great for a few reasons. We've got great riding access, we can ride on stop banks in the river, good supply of grass for the paddocks. People, there's so many people in the public that love walking past Alu Reserve and seeing all the horses and that sort of thing. But this is my second year of RDA, and this is a list of issues we have being at the public grounds. So just the year before I started, one of the horses was stolen through cutting the padlocks of the paddock, and she subsequently needed vet treatment and retiring from the we had, in the winter, thankfully our horses were off-site, but kids purposely lit our property on fire, and thankfully we caught it in time, but we lost half of our sort of property side, the stalls and things. Recently, 2 months ago, we had a stallion break into our property once I brought 3 horses back, leading to damage to the fences and to our horses. Thankfully not too much damage to the horses. We constantly have rubbish and things thrown in the paddocks. We get fireworks and things happen out of date that we aren't prepared for. When people park and drive along the grass for the rugby, we lose our surface for our arena. So sometimes it's happened where we have to finish for the year just the way the grass and everything's been damaged in the wet. And yes, that's just a short list of issues we have being in a public domain, but yeah, there's pros and cons either way. But yes, I'm a huge advocate for going big and going long term for the new facility. And as a horse, like equestrian competitor myself, I compete in many disciplines, Western through to jumping and dressage. There's a huge, almost limitless sort of events you could hold at undercover arena, and especially if it's of a decent size that, if you're horsey, if a dressage or a show jumping will fit for competitions and things. So, and then obviously we will have much better protection of our horses on a private facility, and so then the longevity of the RDA and consistency of the RDA means we can go year round in the RDA. We don't have to close up for term 2 and term 3 in the winter, and our horses are less likely to have to get pulled from sessions because of, say, injuries on things we couldn't exclude for reasons outside of our control in a way. So from the horse side of things, it will be amazing to have our private, well-fenced facility.
So without too much further ado, we'd like to present our feasibility study. We've got a hard copy here and also one on USB. We've also attached a cover letter to go with it, sort of outlines some of what we've pulled from the feasibility study. Obviously there's risks involved, and we do want it to be a community facility as well. So what else can be involved? And like Rebecca touched on, being a covered over arena, there are plenty of things that would fit that bill, as well as equine activities. So yeah, that's probably it. We'll open it up for questions if there's any at this point in time.
Thanks, Sarah. Any questions, councillors?
Are we able to see the feasibility study? Like
Yeah,
want
so
to
we've got a
copy on
hard,
the sheet?
yep, we've got a hard copy here and one on USB, so it can be shared.
Hopefully I can win the quiz on Friday. So don't make the questions too hard.
Dress up and win the best dressed for the 60s thing. Yeah. 60s enough.
You look, Diana, Rebecca, and Sarah, look, I really respect what you guys do. It's awesome, and as you said, the therapy that is provided for the disabled from all around the country to come in, and to have you guys do what you do is outstanding. And I think the opportunity which the Olivers and the Murphys have provided for the future is something which is probably way exceeds what you ever anticipated in the first place, and let's hope it comes to fruition sooner rather than later. Because I appreciate the challenges you have down at the reserve. That is pretty tight and unaccommodating in so many regards, and certainly when you had your facilities burnt and all things. So, yeah, thank you for what you do and the contribution you make. Councillor Jeffries.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, just out of curiosity, how big an area do you cover? Like, how far away to the?
Oh, do you mean like
Yeah,
we're riders?
How far away do people come to use?
So the Greater King Country
Right, okay.
Yeah, we used to have riders come from Tauranui.
Okay,
Yep. Yeah, so that's an option as well. It's just the amount of travel they need to do.
So the closest RDA is Te Awamutu, and then the next one south is, say, New Plymouth. So we could, if people wanted to bring their people to us, there's no limit as long as we're not stealing Te Awamutu's sort of riders. So
yeah, right.
if people express their interest, we can bring them.
So we have Pupia, Tikopini, Ōtorohanga, numerous schools, and we're currently talking to Tamarama.
Excellent. Okay, so quite a big area then, yeah. No, very good. Oh, congratulations, and disappointing to hear of all those things that affect your horses. Yeah, there's some pretty mindless people out there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Mr. Sure, you let those hard copies here. I don't think there's any further questions. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Right, in the absence of any late agenda items, move on to conflict of interest. Are there any items in today's agenda that any councillors need to or should declare conflict of interest? Councillor Prendergast.
I'd like to declare a conflict of interest with the public excluded agenda.
Thank you, councillor. Second that. Confirmation of
Excuse me,
minutes.
through you, Your Worship.
Yes.
Would you like Councillor Prendergast to state what she's going to do about that conflict now or at the time of the agenda item?
Councillor.
I feel it would be appropriate if I left the room for the duration of the discussion.
It would have been, thank
Yeah.
you. That would have been a great recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Moving on to confirmation of minutes, the ODC dated 25th of February. Do I have a move on a second for those? Move Councillor Jeffrey, second Councillor Johnson. All in favour? Any matters arising from those?
Just a couple of minor ones, Your Worship. On page 13, 1, 2, 3, the third paragraph, Mark was going to provide some information about the taxation status of future water services or CTOs, and I gather that we're still waiting for that information to come through. Yeah,
Through you, Worship, I understand that question was answered later in the day.
was it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
sorry,
if you need us to confirm that in an email to you, but we actually asked that directly of Vaughan and
Yeah, sorry, I must have missed that. Yep, my apologies. Thank you.
Thank you. No further questions. Moving on to the receipt of minutes of the KCB dated 30th of February. Move on a second for those.
Yep.
Move Councillor Jeffrey, second Councillor Christensen. All in favour?
Just one correction, if I may, Worship, on page 28, under the heading Public Forums, the speaker was Yvonne Hawkes.
Sorry, Councillor, it's just the receipt of those minutes.
Yep.
They have to go back and be confirmed in committee first.
Yep.
Before we answer questions.
I'm just pointing out there's a typo there.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
Yeah, the name is Hawkes, not Hawker.
Okay. Moving on to my verbal report of what I've been up to over the last month. On the 27th of February, I attended the all local government meeting and met with Minister Watts that afternoon on discussions of water study well, specifically Waikato water study well. Then rural provincial meeting on the 28th of February. On the 8th of March, I attended the Honours Night for the Fire Brigade. On the 10th, we had a risk and assurance meeting. 11th, a waters workshop. On the 12th, attended the Pokai at Waipapa. 13th, attended the Pokai at Makatu. On the 14th, I went to Pahara Marae out Arapuni for the first wānanga of Tuia. Next night I attended the Chiefs game as the guest of Hamilton. Do I have to declare that as a gift? Well, it was a gift because the Chiefs won by 1 point. Citizenship ceremony on the 18th. We had our business security breakfast or meeting in the morning on the 20th, Zone 2 on the 21st, and we had a couple more Zooms yesterday on local water stuff, well, with Merrill Group and with our advisors. So, any questions on that? Thank you, no. So I'd like to move my report be received. Second, Councillor Hughes, all in favour? Carried, thank you. Moving on to the first of our decision reports, item 218, application for temporary road closure. And welcome, Paul. And that's page 34, councillors.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman. First report is the Ōtorohanga and Car Fair Anzac parades. So we've advertised them. We've received no feedback. I will note that the executive summary shows a number of roads affected. The council resolution only shows the roads that are closed.
Thank you, Paul. Any questions, councillors? Yes, Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Worship. In the report, unless I missed it, it's silent. So the application's received from council. And it's obviously a traffic management plan. Have we budgeted for that? The cost of the traffic management plan?
Yes. Yes, we have. It comes through the events part of council, roading part of council.
Any further questions, councillors? So in terms of the road closures, I'm not going to read it all. We have the staff recommendation that the Ōtorohanga District Council approve parts A, B and C as indicated on page 34 and 35 of our agenda. Do I have a move on the second of those? Move Councillor Johnson, second Councillor Prendergast. All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Moving on to item 219, application for temporary road closure, Hilton Car Club, Nui Hilltime, page 37. Still with you, Paul.
Yes, thank you. Another road closure for a rally this time. I will note on item 2.2, we advertised it in 2025, not 26. It's just a bit enthusiastic. And and the rally organisers are currently contacting individuals that live in that area, Ōtorohanga and seeking their approval, but we have advertised the closure in accordance with legislation.
So you're not expecting any issues, Paul?
I'm expecting the rally organisers to resolve any issues. Yeah, it's in their interest. They work with the community. Actually host the event at the school, so it's quite a big fundraiser for that little school.
Thank you. Any questions, councillors? No questions, Councillor Dowd?
Got confused. So they're still asking all the people, but so if we approve this today, and then there's a few people that object or something, and they decide, does it come back to council again? Okay. So you're providing they resolve the issues,
Preempting a decision.
let's go rally.
Yeah, thank you. No further questions. We have the staff recommendation that the Ōtorohanga District Council, I will read through this, approve the temporary road closures in accordance with section 319H and 342 and section 11 of schedule 10 of the Local Government Act 1974, Pikanui Road from this intersection with Nui Road to this intersection with Okapata, Rongia West and Ōtorohanga roads, T intersection on 4th May 2025 between 7:30 AM and 4 PM. Noting this will also affect traffic on Scott Road, Nui East, Okapata, Rongia West and Ōtorohanga roads. B, authorise public notifications of the approval road closure before the event as required by the Local Government Act 1974. Second with Councillor Johnson, second Councillor Jeffries, all in favour? Against, carried. Thank you, Paul.
Thank
item 220, and I'm sure you're still sitting there, roading activity quarterly update, March 2025, page 42. Back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Where do I start? Is it worthwhile going through it by paragraph, or do you just want to go, is there any questions? There's a couple of issues. 2.2, once again, I'm going to give you a heads up on the 25-26 year, not the 26-27 year. And item 4, the budget, is that's the figure that we're looking to overspend, which is stated later on. So there might be some confusion on what the available budget is, because the numbers aren't identical.
If I wrote down those questions before I got to further what's going on. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Jeffries?
Thanks, Your Worship. Yes, Paul, 4.1, I just wanted to congratulate you and the staff and the contractors for the work that was done on Newtonley Road. And the way in which it was done, I think closing the road entirely and diverting it round the other was the best way to get on with that job. The 825,000 that it took, was that the budgeted figure, or was it within budget? And the same question, I guess, with Aotearoa, the 619, were they both completed within the budget?
Nui was within 15 grand of what we budgeted. Aotearoa was about 100 grand over, because when we dug up the road, there was no metal underneath it, so we put more metal in to give it a proper pavement life. But yeah, we just reduced scope elsewhere. We don't exceed our budget in total.
Yep. No, good. That was the question. Thanks. No, that's all I had. Thanks, Your Worship.
Well, there's just a couple of things I talked to Mark about, just clarity on a couple of things which are only minor, but on 5.8 you got $2 million was removed from this area. Just probably elaborate on that a wee bit, rather than just this area, because it was like, what area are we talking?
Okay, so in the 21-24 LTP block, there was a funding reduction from NZTA of $2 million, and they took the full amount from the pavement rehab budget, which meant we spent 3 years doing very little pavement rehab. So I'm trying to claw that back up to a level, rather than doing cuts across the board to balance the books. They took it all from the pavement rehabilitation area.
Thank you. It's just make it easier for us then. The other one which I mentioned was 5.14, works completed in area 9 and area 3. Yeah, that's really ridiculous for us. Probably get a bit more clarity around where these areas are. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so yeah, we have the whole district mapped into areas, so we guys know where they are. So area 9 is around Newtonley, and area 3 is around Ōtorohanga.
Thank you. Councillor Hughes.
Yeah, thank you, Bishop. Paul, how you going? Thanks for the report. Just note under 2024-25 work program, 5.5, no new slip events of note. Just wondering, with all the dry weather we've had, when the rains do come, is there any areas that you sort of potential areas of issue with slips that could possibly happen then, and are we budgeted for those? Because they could be numerous if we do get quite a bit of rain, I would think.
Yeah, we've got no areas that are sort of poking their heads out at us. There's a section on Ōtorohanga Road that seems to be wanting to move frequently. We budgeted about 280,000 for minor slip repairs, and we're on track to be under that slightly, with just sort of business as usual size slips.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Christensen.
I now that it's been done. My mini really likes it now.
Thank you. Councillor Dow?
Just going Hupetier, I've had people come up to me, and I think I know the answer, but can you tell us the answer? They want to know why you didn't seal right closer towards State Highway 3. Why they still stop where they stop. Because if you go like the county outside, there's like a bit of a pothole sort of forming, but it's not. So I want to know why the hot mix didn't carry closer to State Highway 3. What is that? But my answer was, I think, because that State Highway 3 is pay up to a certain level off State Highway 3. That's fine.
Yeah, we looked at that area, it's about 15 metres, roughly. We looked at extending through that area. It isn't ours, but we thought we sort of were going to get stuck with it. We had to do management. So on the day they did that asphalting, the hoppers on the asphalt plant in Hamilton broke, and we were uncertain how much asphalt we were going to be able to get out, so the contractors were looking to do what they've been paid to do. They didn't want to extend, but it's not an area we're actually responsible for anyway.
And the other question I had was the bridges. Like at the moment, there's only 3 bridges, I think, in the Ōtorohanga District Council network that are below 50 max. And on the 5.21, it says going to come up to 37 bridges restricted. Is that, I'm just curious, is that because like our trucks have to get engineers all the time, and you've got some risk-adverse engineers that won't recertify things that other people do? The bridge certifies a bit like that too. Like, well, we all of a sudden 37 bridges fail. Not fail, but you know.
The bridges is, through you, Mr. Chair, the bridges is a really, really complicated area to work in. We have done no new calculations to determine the bridge restrictions. Some of the calculations going back to 1978, and the bridge has always been rated at that value. However, a number of the bridges are really short as well. So the rating is somewhat irrelevant, because if the bridge is 5 metres long and the truck's 22 metres long, you can't get the whole truck on the bridge. So it's a complicated area, but yes, we should have those bridges. The only proviso is the 14 bridges that are currently rated for 45, 46 tonnes. We think we can get them to 50 max with a speed limit.
Where are the 44-tonne bridges?
What?
In Ōtorohanga District.
44 tonnes, we've got 17 44-tonne restricted bridges, including Harbour Road, Waipapa Road, the big one.
Yeah.
It's always been 44 tonnes since the day it was built.
There's only 3 on the 50 max like that.
Yeah.
The government that is that.
That's, I can't answer why they're not there.
Okay.
We can take this one offline. You guys can sit down and talk about what the trucks can go.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious. Yeah.
It's a good point.
Yes, thank you. This was just a heads up, because it's quite a big change. So yeah, there will be a bridge report coming to council formally on what we do about our bridges.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship, and that will be accompanied with a map that has colour coding for all the different bridges in accordance with their status.
Thank you. Councillor Jeffries?
Thank you, Worship. There was just one further question, Paul. 5.37, the Ōtorohanga trees at Kāwhia. Obviously, that didn't go ahead. So is that going to come up at some stage for further discussion?
I think we can bring it up and see you later.
Yep, that'll be fine. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. So we have a staff recommendation here that the Ōtorohanga District Council received a report titled Roading Activity Update March 2025, document number 810454 from Paul Strange, Manager Roading. Move for a second for those, please. First, Councillor Jeffries, second, Councillor Hughes. All in favour? Thanks for the report, Paul. Appreciate it. Moving on to item 221, Ōtorohanga District Ōtorohanga District Development Board 6-month report, 1 July to 31 December 2024. Welcome, Nadi. Nadia, Lorraine, Michelle.
Through you, Worship, just before we move on to this report, can I just clarify a question that was asked by Councillor Williams? We have $10,404 in the 2025-26 budget for Anzac Day parades.
Thank you.
Of that, $9,129 is for traffic management.
Thank you.
Kia ora, councillors. This report is always a pleasure to present, as is the next one, which is really the good work that our community providers are providing our community. So there's nothing more that I can add to my report. Quite happy to take any questions before we hand over to Maureen and Michelle for their presentation.
I just have one quick question. Under 4.4 on page 50, I think it is, it says about fortnightly meetings, and then 4.5, you talk about having a new economic wellbeing manager. So my question was, now that we have that economic wellbeing manager, wouldn't it be more beneficial for them to attend Elevate's meetings monthly instead of fortnightly catch-ups with yourself? Because it would save staff time, Elevate's time, and help to reduce billable hours on both sides.
If I could just get some clarity with that, you're referring to the monthly board meetings that Elevate have?
Yeah.
So there's definitely opportunity for us to explore how these relationship meetings are set up now that we have Cheryl on board. What comes to mind, I guess, first off is where the relationship responsibility sits between council and Elevate at an operational level. Appreciate that we have you, councillor, at that governance level. So yeah, we're more than happy to explore how that looks.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking, half an hour catch-up meetings with yourself and either the chair or our economic manager, if, we're a volunteer basis and then we also pay, for our economic manager to have those meetings with you.
Yeah, so I think exploring where the benefit lies in each of us meeting and what the outcome is of those meetings is really valid. Thank you.
Mr. Jeffries.
Oh, yeah, I do have a couple of questions, but I might leave it until after the presentation, if you don't mind. Thanks.
Over to you, Maureen.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you. Firstly, big thanks for an invite to come and speak to our 6-month report. It's always, let's call it nerve-wracking as we prepare it. And sometimes it's going backwards as well, as we have to think and work on our memories. What did we do? But when you actually work it out, cracky, we've been through some hard times recently and we've come through. So it's very gratifying, to be quite honest, as a board. So firstly, let me just thank the councillors, Max, Tanya, for just helping us and generally being there, patting us on the back, giving us encouragement to keep going. So, with that out of the way, look, we're absolutely, and I say this morning, I thought, gosh, I am so excited to present today, because it means tick, done. Okay, so with that, I'm going to share with Michelle as well. So we had just a little introduction, and I believe there's no voice. Poor Day has trouble trying to get vocal, but it is the video that we released during our last year, our launch. Pretty proud of it, and so click, click. Sorry. Okay. That was excellent video, but unfortunately we don't have the voice, and it was one of our, say, recommended businesses, new businesses as well, that came on board in support of Elevate and what we do for them. Sorry about that. I wish there was a little bit of vocal, but we can skip. Yeah, okay.
We'll send the link out to elected members after the meeting today.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing because it's just a reminder, of what people think of us as well. Okay. Michelle?
I don't know, I think going for questions, was that?
Yeah.
If you want to use your, I'm happy to just take questions, really.
Councillor Jeffries.
Thanks, Your Worship. Thanks for a very comprehensive report. You guys are doing a great job, so keep it up.
Thanks.
On page 59 of our agenda, it's under your heading priority 3, events and district promotions. The second box, you talk about the provision of new residents. I'm just interested as to how and when that's provided to residents, and is it possible to get a copy of that?
Yes, Kit, it was something that we really worked on last year, so put them in a presentation folder for new residents that arrived in town, and they wanted to know, all about Ōtorohanga, and so we prepared a pack, and yes, absolutely, we can share it with Kafia, no problem at all.
Thanks. So just on from that, then how do you actually identify new people coming into the district?
They usually come into the eyesight and introduce themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you don't have a relationship with, say, real estate people who can tell you what properties sell?
Not really. That's something that we could certainly work on, because I'll explain later with, we've got a fantastic relationship with the new owners of our building that we are currently in.
Yep.
And I'm sure, in fact, I think he may be a really good candidate for coming on our board.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. On the bottom of that page 59, just to say thank you for your continuing support for the Carnfield Museum and the information centre out there. It's a neat little operation we've got going out there, and I think the visitor numbers certainly justify the support. So just to acknowledge and thank you for that.
Yes, so just recently, Kit, as of 1st of April, there's a minimum wage increase, and we reflected that in, again, updating our service agreement with Kathy, and have ticked that one down.
Right. Yeah, it's not a big one, is it, I think?
No, it still keeps it in our records and on file that there is an increase of an annual contribution to Kathy.
Thank you. And on page, again, 61 of our agenda, under your heading priority 4, economic development, second box, you talk about retail revitalisation. And again, I just want to say thank you and congratulations on the work you've done locally. But are there any plans to do anything similar out at Carnfield?
At this stage, I think it was introduced last year when Hannah was on our board, and he suggested it. So I pretty much gave him all the templates as to how we introduced it here. So I think, oh gosh, would that be negative? I think we just need to get this one finished before we look at Carnfield. And we are still have some work to do, and we thought this project would be done, dusted, out of the way, but we are dependent on painters' availability as well, and some of the quotes that are coming through are massive, but we're working through that with business owners, retailers, and a painter.
Right. And just through your worship, and perhaps a question directed to Ross, if I may. So the Kawhia Aotea concept plan is this revitalisation, does that, or could it form part of that concept plan? Or is that a separate exercise outside of that plan?
Through your worship, it's not specified in the concept plan that the revitalisation process or project that's happened here in Ōtorohanga is automatically part of the project scope in Kawhia. But that's not to say it couldn't step into that space if there was a desire for it, and then I guess how it is then implemented is a second consideration.
Okay, thanks. It might be something just worth considering going forward.
Yes,
If
yes,
the two parties can talk about that,
Yeah.
maybe some
Yeah.
common ground there somewhere.
yeah,
No, that's all I had. Thank you very much for that.
okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
very good.
Yeah, Brian, from me, look, thanks for the report. There's a lot of work has gone into, so I can imagine the relief of getting out of the way. Also, thank you for working alongside council so well. I think the other morning was really demonstrative of the two agencies, the council and Elevate, working together with the police and the community. So I think that was very cool. A couple of questions. With the reservations of Teresa and Vanessa and the desire to still retain the eyesight services, how are you doing that?
Kind of winging a prayer. But literally, we were very, very fortunate to, sad, of course, that Teresa finished, it was in August. And so we had an interim space there where we increased Vanessa's hours, and literally some board members got involved in the operations and would go to assist her in that role. Until around about December. Then January, Vanessa probably did some mind searching, and she was very fortunate to get a job opportunity at the Ōtorohanga Medical Centre, so we wished her very, very well. But it gave us, in a way, there was a sadness, but then also it gave us an opportunity, really clarity around two roles that we need to scout and make sure that we just hit targets in each of those roles. So we have accomplished a great deal, to be quite honest. We've gone to a recruitment agency, and this week we are happy to say we are going to interview 5 people that are pretty much, we're awfully happy with what is coming through in their CVs, and they have already been, if you like, filtered through Nikki. So, yeah, very, very happy. I think we're in a great space, and the potential of the candidates is pretty spot on. So it is important that that's where we are at filling those spaces. But I do need to immense gratitude to Monica, our secretary, that stepped up as I think it was the 1st or beginning of February, and taken over the eyesight operations. It's doing an amazing job. Also, big thank you to Ōtorohanga District Council, I know, loaning us 2 people, Tuesdays and Thursdays, that had information experience and been able to deal with that while at the same time doing their council work. So we're very, very fortunate in that for us, free of charge. So excellent. That has finished now. Monica is a lot more confident in the information services and being able to answer queries as they come day to day. But literally she filled that gap so brilliantly. It's only temporary, and while we recruit in the 2 new roles, we hope that she will stay on and just really transfer the information that she's learned over the past few months as well to the 2 new people.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Prendergast, then Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. Wonderful report, as everyone has said, really enjoyed reading it.
Definitely Irene, and I'll just put it over to Michelle on that one. It's one of our targets.
I mean, the short answer is not as much as we'd like, you know. If you look at what's driving the Ōtorohanga economy, it's agriculture and primary industries. So it's a big piece of what we need to focus on in the future. We're working hard to, I guess, pick up the other activities that happen in the rural sector to connect to. Because I think if we duplicate the activities that they're doing, we're actually just flooding a market that's already there. So it's probably more for us with the new people involved, helping us build the relationships with the organisations that our rural sector's already part of as well. So not as much as we'd like is the short answer. Yeah.
I just see a lot of what you have to offer would be very beneficial to quite a few, particularly young people that are starting out in rural businesses.
Yeah.
And they don't always get a lot of support available.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty excited that in the year that we've been a membership-based model, we have 82 members. I was saying to Moraine this morning, the Cambridge Chamber has 400. Just to put that in perspective, if you think the population size, the type of businesses that exist in that environment versus what we have in ours, 82 is a pretty admirable amount. We have a good forward plan for the next 6 or 7 months, so we did sit this morning, we're optimistic with some new staff, renewed energy. We've got good feedback on the options we've put out to everyone, and in the survey we've tried to match what people are looking for. So you're right, it's just trying to reach that other community that maybe we're not quite connected with yet, because we will offer some good workshops and education programs and things that will help.
Yeah, thank you for your report, and I've got two things. One is a question, and but before that, just a vote of thanks, and that is really appreciate your role as an umbrella organisation, and it certainly makes it easy to hold an event in the town, and also in particular the carrying of public liability insurance, which reduces risk in running an event, and I certainly really appreciate that, and also with regards to the Piston Festival, we've done 3 now, and it's quite a good pilot, if you like, for other events, given the fact that we have an umbrella organisation which allows people with common interests to run an event if they wish. So I certainly want to thank you for enabling that. I really, really appreciate that. It's not much fun running an event. If you have got any risk, we'll share that sentiment. So thank you for that. And the question I've got is is there any linkage, or what sort of linkage, or what priority linkage does the ODDB have with the Kiwi House? Is that anything there? Or promoting it, I should say.
So the link really is what we do is from time to time, if they've got new stuff coming through, our relationship with the Kiwi House is very strong and very supportive of their efforts. We do throw whatever news reels or something that comes through onto the website and promote it that way. Other than that, it is really through support and promotion. Does that answer the question? It's a strong relationship and it's ongoing. We actually get there, can avail of the Ōtorohanga room, always complimentary for us, for if we have some big meetings, first aid or whatever. Equally, we did it there, then a favour the other night where they had a double booking at the Ōtorohanga room and came and used our big room in the BNC. Michelle, can you answer?
Was there something else that you were thinking we should be building a relationship on? Was it?
Oh, not really, but I just got a soft spot for the Kiwi House, and I want to give it as much horsepower as we can. Yeah.
think we all do.
Got some views?
There's one thing I just need to add as well. Mayor Max is, within the next 2 months, we will be moving house. And we're very, very, very close to confirming our home. So it'll still be Main Street, and it is not as large as this building over here, but it is central located, and we're pleased. We've all inspected it. It's looking very, very positive. The lease agreement has been vetted through our lawyer, and the seismic report, which is always important on the buildings in the Main Street in Ōtorohanga, is quite positive as well. So just watch this space.
That's great. Councillor Hughes.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Hi, Maureen. Michelle, how are you? Just a question over these recent spate of burglaries. Have you had, well, firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the work you did organising these meetings, coming to these meetings, as well as the police for the work they did to apprehend the suspect. I know it's pretty early on in the piece because they've only just apprehended him, but have you had any feedback from your members this early on about that whole unfortunate event and the fact that he has been apprehended?
I think that's it. The fact that most people are pleased that, you know, the person has been apprehended, and the evidence that helped that arrest came from one of our business members as well. So, you know, it's that collective working together and with the police that makes things happen, makes the investigation go. But I mean, we commend what Hayden has done, and yeah, it probably everybody has tightened their security and reevaluated it. But there's work still to continue in that area that we help, that we can just, it's advice, yeah.
Well, there needs to be some lessons learned from this, I think, for a lot of businesses who were perhaps a little complacent in their security measures. So if anything good's come out of it, it's the heightened vigilance now to events like this. So no, that's very pleasing.
And I know, Councillor Christian, you always have very close connections. She's doing baskets on it twice daily, and speaks to businesses on the Main Street. So thank you for your efforts.
For the question, Michelle, you're going to talk to anything, or you? No further questions, councillors? Okay, we have the staff recommendation that the Ōtorohanga District Council receive the report titled Ōtorohanga District Development Board 6-month report, 1 July to 31st December 2024, document number 81298 from Nadia Gow, Group Manager Strategy Community. I'd like to move that. Second, Councillor Powell, all in favour? Okay. Thank you, and looking forward to how you get on with the recruitment. And again, thanks for a wonderful report. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nadia. 5 minutes. Okay, we're just adjourned for 5 minutes. Either get a coffee or whatever you have to do in 5 minutes. Kia ora, welcome back everybody. I'd like to reconvene the meeting and we'll move on to item 222, update report on the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs Community Employment Program. Along with Nadia, I'd like to welcome Al and Taylor. Kia ora.
Thank you, Your Worship. Again, another report that we love to present, all the good work that's been done in the community. The only update I have from the report before you is that we have secured an extra $50,000 for this financial year for another 10 outcomes from Mayor's Task Force for Jobs. Other than that, there will be some updates, I think, from Al, so happy to take questions of my report before handing over.
Yeah, I just have the one, Your Worship, 2.4. I'm sorry to see that the Art Talent won't be renewing its contract beyond 2025. So what are the implications there if we can't get a replacement to that service?
Through you, Your Worship, we will be going out for a procurement. I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to find someone to continue those services.
Can I just say that it will be a huge loss if talent isn't involved, and I just wanted to perhaps acknowledge the work that you've done and say thank you for that.
Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Worship. In 4.5, the table of, is there a missing line in the driver licences or just addition? Is that 145?
We can go back to our figures and either readjust the total or
Find the missing ones.
Find the missing ones, yep. And we'll send that back out to elected members.
Thanks, Naz. No further questions over to you, Al. And Taylor, if you so choose.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Thanks for having us here. We've had a great almost 12 months. Very pleased with the outcomes to date and the extra funding from Mayor's Task Force for Jobs. We were contracted, this contract is F25 and we were contracted for 30 placements. We're currently sitting at 64, so we've met that completely. At least 30 of those placements are rangatahi aged between 16 and 24, and they have been in sustainable employment more than 3 months or more. So the extra 50,000 will help us look at placements with council contractors throughout the Ōtorohanga district and also other employers. We think it's a very positive move, and at the way that we're performing currently, we think that we may reach the 80 to 90 mark by June 2025. And I think that speaks to the need within the community. One of the criteria, is to meet the need in the community, and moving forward looking at the F26 contract, they've based the funding on need, and definitely myself, as speaking with Nadia, we've reiterated that there is a need in Ōtorohanga to continue the service. So thank you. I'll take my report as read, and if you have any questions, Taylor and I are happy to answer.
Thanks, Al. Councillor Dale.
Well, thanks for that. Just going on, just looking at the apprenticeships, they seem to have dropped off. Like there's not many apprentices in town since 22, 23 onwards.
Correct.
Is that because we've got trades, a town full of tradesmen now?
A bit of that, a bit of both. What we've seen is the recession that's kicked in, and tradies in particular not hiring as they have done in the past.
Yeah.
So pre-COVID and just after COVID, there was a lot of hiring going on in those particular years. We're slowly seeing that come back in. We've got 1 or 2, 3 apprenticeship roles currently that are available, and also with the funding drop, the way that we've been able to support apprentices has changed. So historically, any apprentice in Ōtorohanga, when they went into employment, we were able to support them with a $3,000 toolkit plus GST. with the drop in funding, as you can see in Nadia's table, the ability to do that has gone, and that's just one of the impacts of when funding drops.
Okay. So, yeah, because I was just looking at this, the placements, well, obviously yesterday there was 52 of these 41 or whatever, but yeah, there's only 2 apprentices, so people just not.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
I think we've definitely, the recession, we've had spoken to a number of tradies and you know, as I said earlier, there's just not the roles there because the work's not there.
Thank you. Any further questions? Now, Elle, I take it this will be the last time you'll be presenting to us. That'd be fair. On an official note, thank you. Thank you so much for the service you provided to the Ōtorohanga Employment Hub. Thank you to Taylor that note. When you said there's need in Ōtorohanga, there truly is, and obviously the resources have been pointed towards you guys in the absence of MSD office in town. But more than that, the effort, the care, the work that you put in to ensure these young people are put into jobs and then nurtured and looked after that is second level. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you've done for our rangatahi. You and I haven't finished, but yeah, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Max. Thanks everyone.
So in the absence of further questions, we do have the staff recommendation that the Ōtorohanga District Council receive the report titled Update Report from the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs Community Employment Programme 1 July 24 to 10 March 2025, document number 811398 from Nadia Gow, Group Manager Strategy and Community. I'd like to move that. Secretary Councillor Williams, all in favour? Against? Thank you. Ms. Marsden. And I'll move on to item 223, the 6-monthly performance report for the period 1 July to 31 December 2024. And that is on page 79. So welcome again, Nadia. And Brendan.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this is a new report that we are providing elected members and obviously the public as well. And it's based on the KPI, or the reason why we're doing a 6-month performance report is to meet the KPIs for our CE Tanya, which is to increase reporting on our service measures. These are the measures that we agree to in the long-term plan and promise our community that we will deliver. Previously, we have reported on these annually through the annual report, but we thought it was advantageous to you and the community to see how we're tracking at a 6-month date, which is what you see before you. The information, as I said, in its complete form is presented at the end of the year through the annual plan, and what you will see, an annual plan, something else. So what you have been able to see in this are areas where we're not able to measure some things because they're annual measures, and in other areas we've indicated if we're on track or if we're not on track. Like the annual report, this is all of organisation input. These performance measures sit across all the groups, so if you have some specific questions from the information contained in it, I may need to rely on my colleagues to help answer those. And we've also included the end of February financials as part of this report to give you a complete picture rather than it sitting as a separate report, as is often the case in the agendas. So I think that's all from me. Happy to start taking some questions on perhaps the non-financial performance measures, and then we'll leave the financial stuff to the second part where Brendan can take you through that.
Awesome, excellent. First question, online building control live through Full stop. Okay, cool. Are there any implications in delaying the district plan work?
I will hand over to Tony.
The short answer is no. We do have funding in the LTP for plan review of some nature. You may have seen this morning that the government's announced an update to the RMA reform phase 3, which is replacement of the entire RMA. So I've had a quick look at that. There's really nothing new in there that we weren't already aware. So yes, there's no real implications. It is funded in the LTP. So one way or another, we've got some money in there for review.
Can I just check your question, Your Worship? Implications for us or implications for the community, applicants, people? Okay, cool. Just if we had a unwieldy district plan that people were struggling with, then there might be implications for our applicants with delays. So I just wanted to check.
The reason why I asked us, because obviously the Minister recently said that we should proceed as per normal with the development of our district plan, regardless of the changes that are made. That's why I said there's any implications, which of course they're going to say that because that is what you need to do every 10 years. So, okay, cool. There's page 106 of the Rock here. Wastewater, when we didn't meet the targets, bear with me, everyone. Page 106. When we're not meeting on resilience infrastructure, when we say we don't meet targets, not on target, like going down here, wastewater, median response times on sewage overflows, not on track, 20 hours and 49 minutes, where the expectation is less than 50 minutes. Is that right?
Yes, so the issue we're having there is, I guess, a training issue with our staff on site. So within the service request system, there's multiple different fields you fill in when you sign it off. So one is when the service was resolved, one is around when we advised the complainant, one is around the actual date we've finished the work and signed it off. The issue we have is that some of the staff aren't realising the importance of filling in all those fields, and they're not all mandatory because obviously not every service request necessarily have service restored or those sort of things, so we don't make them all mandatory. So because they're not filling in that information, it looks like we're actually taking longer to resolve the issues. Last year we were able to resolve this by going back to timesheets and working out how long they actually spent on site with each of these things, because they do put the service requests in their timesheets, so we have it tracked in that way. So by the time we get to year end, we will have gone through and retroactively fixed all those service requests and put that information in, and it's just training the staff to make sure, hey, this is important to provide this information as well as just signing off to say.
Thank you, because it looks pretty accurate when you read it.
Yeah. When this came up, that was Mark's response as well.
Councillor Prendergast.
Through you, Your Worship, really no questions, just I thought it's a great report, and I thought very timely and great to have that big snapshot. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. If I could just, now that Anne has entered the room, thank Anne while she's here and making her feel uncomfortable. She's put a lot of effort into this. It's a new way for us to present this information, and being a new LTP, where the structure of things were different to our previous years, there's a lot of foundation work that was done with this that has set us up for the reporting to come. So thank you, Anne.
Thank you, Nadia. I've just assumed the chair. So I'm going to abuse my privilege and go first with a question that I had waiting. Just around waste management, and I see like there's a 20% increase. I'd just like to see some consistency. I know it's an ongoing project, and waste management across the country was supposed to bring, consistency across councils. I see Waipa's got a really good website page on what can I put in recycling, down to the lids, which is what I would look for, but I can't see the same thing in Waitomo where we do a share. And it's just a comment, we could make that 20% jump higher. I think if we get some clarity on what we can do, and because I understood that it was all going to the same place anyway, and Waitomo was saying
they don't want 5s. We're saying 1, 2 and 5, and so do Waipa. So yeah, just, I wonder if we can copy with pride from Waipa.
Councillor Hughes, then Councillor Jeffries.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. No, the not yet measured part of it, I expect to get your explanation on that. Is there scope for there to be assumptions in this, or not? Is it just too, I mean, you know, you could make assumptions halfway through the year, whether they play out or not, so it can be debatable, but yeah, is there scope for that, or is it not really not? Is it easier to just leave it as not yet measured?
I might let Anne answer that one.
Yeah, thank you, Nadia. In those particular measures, there's probably not scope, because they particularly relate to things like your annual resident survey. So it's things like that where I think it'd be a bit dangerous to make an assumption there. Yeah.
Councillor Jeffries.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yes, I was just questioning on 4.4 on page 80. There's a comment there that council has been required to revisit previous decisions, respond to new legislative requirements, and so on. Just a quick, are we keeping a track of the additional costs that have been imposed on council that relate to all of these additional changes and requirements? Are we able to identify what it's actually costing us to implement what central government is forcing on us?
In short, Councillor, through Your Worship, no. And I guess my question would be, where does that start and stop?
Yeah.
So Tony's entire team are implementing central government's regulatory, the legislation that his team largely operates under is central government legislation, which has been in place for a long time, but is continually tweaked and adjusted, and new requirements are put in place, like for the building team and the planning area and that sort of thing. So it's kind of hard to know, where it starts and stops. I mean, the water reforms, I guess, are a chunk of work that you could argue, why aren't we coding our time to something so that we can see what we're all spending on it?
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
So I guess I'd be wanting direction from you on exactly which bits you're wanting us to do that for.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and I think, I guess the only way that you could do that would be to have a separate activity, wouldn't it? Where you could actually allocate your time to that. But it would certainly be interesting to know how much additional cost all of these changes create.
We've done that a little bit, haven't we?
Yeah, so Mark in particular and Barry have been recording their time for water, the 3 waters reforms particularly. I mean, just looking at in that 4.4, the restatement of the ability to hold the polls, the merit water, we know what that's going to cost us in terms of the actual referendum costs. So we've got those costs for staff time, that sort of stuff. So there are some things we can keep track of because of the nature of them, but other things,
No, just speaking generally, then I guess if local government generally were to do or undertake such an exercise, then I think they would certainly have some basis on which they could go back to central government, push back on a whole lot of this stuff. But obviously it's not happening. So, I mean, there must reach a point where, and I think that, and I defer to our chairman of our Risk and Insurance, Peter Stubbs, who once said that local government in New Zealand needs to grow something, and tell central government to basically stick it. So, there does come a point where I guess the ongoing viability, if you like, of some of the smaller councils like ours starts to get difficult to maintain. So just making those comments. Thanks.
Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, I guess it's supplementary to that too, but and I know this is appears to be mostly deliverables, but is there in terms of employment in the council, is there any form where we know how many people our council actually employs, and it should be part of this so that we, as electeds, we've got some idea of where some of those staff time costs are going, just in terms of volume of salaries. Is that something that we know or should know? Or do you have a question? But how do we know how many people we've got?
We can give you a head count, a payroll count, FTEs and warm bodies, if you'd like that.
Yeah, just interesting to know how it fluctuates over time as we implement these things from our long-term plan.
Yeah.
I always kind of claim that from the moment we started Councillor Johnson till now, there's probably another 5 staff employed just to deal with the extra workload from central government. That was my kind of rough estimate of what I reckon it's costing us just to implement those changes. Councillor Dow.
I was just curious because I know the government's made noises about ratepayers being able to compare other regions. So if you're going to do that, you have to have the reports on KPI. Every region would have to be the same. So they've talked about, as a ratepayer voting in, say, Ōtorohanga, you'll know what. There'll be a KPI in Waitamu, which will be exactly the same. So these KPIs or these lined up, it's kind of like, I remember, like with the water, for instance, going through all the councils and trying to work out what they all charge. Nobody has the same reporting. So is there going to be some sort of guidance from central government or not? Or this is just our own reporting?
So I guess in terms of some of the measures that we have, particularly the ones around the infrastructure, so water, wastewater, stormwater, flood protection and roading, do actually have mandatory ones that come from the Department of Internal Affairs. And those are, now the measure is the same for everyone, the actual target is different. So everyone sets their own target. There's no defined target, but everyone's measure is the same. So for example, the one around that we were talking about earlier around response times for wastewater, that's the same measure for everyone, and how we measure it should, in theory, be consistent because there's guidance. Whether actually everyone does it consistently, that's a separate question. But the target we're aiming for is probably different. So that, I guess, is where that came from initially. That's what I've done. But in terms of all those other things like libraries and parks and everything else we do, even the resource consent area and building consents, there's no standardisation on targets across those. And until the government actually gave us some, I guess, we wouldn't know where that might end up.
If I could just add to that too, there's lots of discussion, I guess, at an operational level around the non-mandatory statement of service performance measures, and the trick, I guess, is to put things in there that matter. So what is it that the community actually think is important? So hence things that tend to come through in those annual resident surveys, like satisfaction levels with our library. Are they important to you? Are they important to the community to know those things? So that's the sort of, those are the sorts of questions and considerations we look at when we develop a long-term plan.
Thank you, Nadia. Any further questions before we move to finances?
So finance part of this starts on page 115. So again, we're in a pretty good position at the end of February. Kind of feel like I say that every month, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
So can you start, thanks, Brendan. So just start with if there is bad news here, like I hear you say that all the time. On the first table there, you've got we've got an operating deficit of 1.396 million. So that's on page 115.
No, that's the full year budget.
Yeah, for the full year budget.
Yeah.
So I mean, that doesn't look good when you look at the full year budget, does it? So
I guess because it's not cash, it's mostly depreciation, and that's what's, it's the non-cash stuff that gives us that deficit, and it's so it can look bad, but it actually isn't necessarily a bad thing. Because cash-wise, we'll end up in quite a good place when you take out depreciation. That's, I mean, when you look at depreciation, it's $7 million. So the cash basis, we're actually quite good. Just under accounting terms, we don't look that good full year. Which is probably why I don't say it's a bad thing. So yes, as you can see there, in terms of the revenue, we're pretty much bang on where we thought we'd be at the end of February, only $2,500 different. Really cool and interesting. So it's the expenditure side where the movement's coming, and that's mostly around being under by nearly $1 million in our other expenses, down on the employee benefit expenses, but then up on depreciation. So as I mentioned last time, a large portion of that is around the land and building revaluation we did, and just the timing of when we've budgeted the depreciation versus actually coming through with some of the big CapEx projects we've done. Our finance costs are up as well, because obviously we've had some borrowings that we had to pay when timed. The timing's different to last year, so we've put the budget timing separate or different on those. Over the page on our balance sheet, so again, the end of February, healthy balance sheet, 5.96 million of working capital. A large portion of that, the reason why we've got 5.2 million in the bank at that point is the end of the other second rate installment was due at the end of February 28th. So a lot of it came in that last day. I think we had $2.4 million just come in that day by itself, which is quite a lot of money. Took Tash like 2 days to process all the bank that came in that day with everyone, particularly those that don't put the right references, but that's beside the point. In terms of borrowings, so we're at 12, well, as of the end of February, we're at $12.4 million. Something I didn't mention, oh yes, I did say there, there's $2 million, well actually, $8 million was due to be repaid during March. It was repaid in the last couple of months, of that, last week, sorry. Of that, $6 million was refinanced, so we've repaid $2 million of the loan at the moment, so we're down to 10.4 as of today. But as of the end of February, we're still at 12.4. Of that $6 million, we then, and you won't show the debt profile here because it's before we did this, but we've refinanced it. 4 of that is 6 months, I think, and 3 months. The other 2 million, 3 months. That matures in June, so that gives us the opportunity in June, if we've got sufficient cash and don't need it, to possibly repay 1 or 2 million of that, or to just roll it over if we aren't in a position to repay it. And pretty favourable rates at the moment now too, which is good. Over the page to our cost service statement. So again, we're pretty good. Our operating revenue is under budget in that one. That's mostly in the other general sources, which is the staff charging. Because of savings and stuff, there's less to charge out. Some of the savings obviously being around the salaries and wages. Other savings being reductions in training or those things that relate to staff costs. That means we don't have to charge as much out. Yeah, and then capital-wise, so we're under budget at about 2.2 at this point. A lot of that's timing. I know we've just had some big invoices come through that were actually before the end of February for the roading contracts. So there's another 700,000 or 800,000 probably would have gone on there, but unfortunately timing-wise, just making it for when I had to get this report done. The next page is the cash flows. So again, as I talked about, quite flush with cash at the end of February because of all the rates coming in. And you can see that there with the extra rates revenue. And then the last page of my bit is the debt profile, which I've kind of just talked about, but that's what it was at the end of February. And so I think what we get 4.3, 4.2, I think, on the 6 months off the top of my head. I should have written that down. So yes, it was pretty good rates at this point.
Oh, no, Chair, Mr. Chairman, worship. So, given your very good rates in the time it takes Tash, perhaps you could offer a prompt payment discount so we don't all wait until the last day to pay.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's an interesting, it's an interesting discussion that I think councils have that's around when you do a prompt payment discount and when you do a penalty. I don't know if there's many that do both. There might be. I'm not too sure how many you do prompt payment discounts.
Yeah, obviously with a prompt payment discount, there's a cost.
Yeah.
Which you need to budget for the discounts. So 6 months after this year.
Councillor Jeffries.
Well, thanks, Worship. Yeah, I just had one question, Brendan. Good report, thank you. On page 115, when we're talking about the statement of comprehensive revenue and expenses, the full year budget for expenses is 29 million. Our actual to end of February is 70.6. So there's about $11 or $12 million that needs to be spent, if you like, if we meet that budget figure over the next 4 months. Where is that going to be spent? Have you got any idea? Unless I've missed this, how are we going to spend $10 million in the next 4 months? That's a question.
Off the top of my head, I don't have the breakdown of where exactly that is. I would say a large portion of it is possible roading. I guess one thing to point out, of course, is the full year budget is what was in the long-term plan, and we've missed out on the funding from NZTR, so some of that is really money might be spent. And what that is, I can't remember off the top of my head. Well, depreciation is its own line. I mean, that depreciation is tracking over budget. It's mostly in the other expenses, I'd say, because we're at 8 compared to 14.5 million. So that could be multiple different things. Some of them might be decided in the wastewater, because I think we had some money budgeted for this year, and I don't know if they've done any of that work yet. I can ask. It could just be a lot of little things that just haven't happened, that will happen. It could be timing of grants or all sorts of different payments. So it's, without actually diving into it and trying to figure out exactly what it is, which I could do, if you want. I don't know off the top of my head exactly what the next time.
No, I wouldn't go to that extent. But I perhaps just make the point that if we don't come up to the budget figure of 29 million, potentially our cash position at the end of June is not quite healthy. Yes. Okay, that's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further questions? Yes, Councillor Farrell.
Just one pregnant like these are exactly the same figures that we had at our meeting last time. That was the end of January, so no money comes in at a month's time.
Which?
Oh, yeah. It was statement of comprehensive revenue expenses. It's exactly the same figures that we were presented with last time at the council meeting. Well, and that says for a period during January 2021. This was in February 2021.
So these are.
It's the same, exactly the same table. So I just thought, we're just doing last month's meeting right now. Again.
No. I'll double check.
And the other thing I want to ask, the water by volume rates, so that water money, maybe does that cover the cost of running the water?
Not necessarily covers it, but that's what we're getting from charge. So I guess, that's those that are charged by meter. Obviously, Carfield isn't charged by meter, they're charged by a target rate across each property. So they come up with the rates income. So that is not the total.
So that's only the water rates from the meters?
Yeah, that's just the charge from the meters. So there is other rates
so
that as well.
Part of the other rates income would be actually water.
Yeah, and then there's other fees and charges like connection fees and that sort of stuff, which is other incomes also. So that water by volume is not just, it's not the total.
So that's going to have to be all separate out.
Yes.
Well, even if we don't, even if we stay alone, it still has to be, we'll have to completely separate. It may be that some of the figures are the same, but all of the figures aren't the same. Because how often do we import for rates? Twice a year. Yeah, so you'll have some months that have the same revenue because all the rates have come in at that stage.
Yeah, because the invoice was in January.
Yeah,
So the income
so it makes sense.
Yeah. But the expenditure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the figures are very, very similar, but they're not the same. Dollar for dollar. Yeah, so there has been a change.
Any further questions, councillors? Thank you for the reports, Nadia and Brendan. We have the staff recommendation that the Ōtorohanga District Council received a report titled 6th Monthly Performance Report 1 July to 31 December 2024, incorporating a financial report for the month ending 28th of February 25, document number 81397. I'll move that. Second, Councillor Jeffries. All in favour? Yes, carried. Thank you. We'll move on to councillor updates, and I will hand over to Councillor Jeffries.
It's been a pretty quiet month for me. I was out of action for about 10 days, but all good now. And thank you for your kind wishes, councillors, dear. I appreciate it. So yeah, I went to the AOG conference in Wellington, 26th, 27th of February. That was very interesting. And no doubt there'll be some other comments around that. And thank you for the opportunity to attend that. It was appreciated. On the 1st of March, I went to the Ōtorohanga Sports and very strong horse events, and of course the wood chops out there was always a big feature. And this year they had they targeted particularly the young ones, and they had all sorts of things for the kids, like a big water slide and bouncy castles and little go-kart things and everything. It was a really lovely family day. And it was good to meet and greet a few people out there. 10th of March, we had the Risk and Assurance meeting, which was followed by Councillor Hui, and the 20th of March, we had the Kawhia Tier Concept Plan with Ross and Paul at the Kawhia, and that was followed by a local water done well online meeting. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hughes.
Yeah, thank you, Bishop. 10th of March was the Risk and Assurance meeting. Council Chambers here. 11th was the water workshops. 18th was the meeting with the police, Elevate, and security firm. The contractors have been over these recent burglaries. And then there was a public meeting on the Thursday after that, but I couldn't attend that, unfortunately. And also on the 18th, I attended the citizens' ceremony, which was great because there was, I don't know how many were there, 16 or so, and they were all different nationalities from all over the world. It was even one from Gibraltar. So it was very interesting and very pleasing to see these people settling into their new homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dow.
Similar to Steve, actually. So the water reform workshops, the citizenship ceremony we attended. Also, I listened in on a couple of the reserve, Island Reserve management plans from the different sports clubs, which was quite interesting. So, yeah, we're getting somewhere.
Thank you. Councillor Christensen.
Little bits and pieces. Elevate meeting on the 26th of Feb. The 4th of March, the community board didn't have a meeting, but we had a catch up about the dog park, agility park that we're wanting to back. And then 11th of March, the workshops and the hearings, security meeting like Steve with the contractor and council staff, which was good. To get feedback from Jared that he actually needs dates and like security footage of stuff if people are complaining actually come to council rather than, so that was really good because I actually sent him some the next day, so then he could follow up with the contractor. Reserve management workshop sort of thing with all the sports clubs that use the island reserve, so that was really cool too, and the public meeting for the security.
Thank you. Councillor Williams.
Thank you. Doing the same similar circuits, February, all of local government and rural and provincial days, which you've had an extensive report from. And, but yeah, quite interesting, the variation in presentations from politicians and as well as the auditor's office. Workshops on the 11th of March, Hawkeye at Makatu, and you should perhaps share John's comments on our headgear. Citizenship, another good ceremony, and yeah, well worth continuing to put the effort into it. It is appreciated by those of us who are, there, but also the people who are receiving it. Zone 2 on Friday, some really good speakers there, and I think Nadia will be following up with Julie Fairfield on the role of storytelling and strategic framing of messages that we're trying to get across in our communications. There was also a speaker on AI, and currently over 80% of AI implementations are failing. IT only has a failure rate of 40%. And yesterday I was at the Joint Committee for the Waikato CDEM, where the group plan on KEG's recommendations is going out for public consultation shortly, and also a very interesting presentation on the Hikurangi Subduction Project, which might prove to be a very good platform for getting people to think about what they will do for business continuity.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson.
Kia ora tātou. Just impressed with my fellow colleagues. As usual, my life outside of the council is busier than I like to admit. February is basically spent worrying about a new mokopuna coming. It's finally arrived. And then the end of February and March is all about Pukai. So thank you for those who attended our Pukai and Waipapa. It was a pleasure to host you and to see you, and next to have the Ōtorohanga at the afternoon session. Well done. The whānau really appreciate it.
Thank you. Councillor Prendergast.
Thank you, Your Worship. I attended the local government conference in Wellington 26th, 27th February, which I just always find huge benefit from. And rural and provincial is always a very good day as well. 5th of March, we had the North King Country Development Trust. 10th of March, Risk and Assurance. And the 12th of March, I had the privilege of going out to the Waipapa Parade for the Polkai, which I really enjoyed.
Thank you. Councillor Johnson.
Just really attending the workshops that which the councillors have attended here, and we had the rural water meeting. Was that this last month? Was that? Yes, anyway, attended that.
Awesome, thank you. Councillor Tamaki.
Kia ora, do you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Kia ora, everybody. So I don't know the dates, but had a Ōtorohanga ora hui, so that little committee is going well. Came in the last hour for the elected members workshop. Attended Pokai. Had a hui with Catherine Short, which I thought was the Friendship Club, but since been told it's the Lyceum Club, so had a hui with them around some promotional stuff for council in terms of a councillor and what might be some of the skills you need. Attended the citizenship ceremony, which was amazing. Attended an online water hui, so thank you to Brendan and Mark and Nadia and Max for catching myself up on that mahi, so ngā mihi. Attended the karakia for the Pautakawa removal in Kawhia, and it was a beautiful morning. I think it was a well represented morning. Ōtorohanga tahi, o te kaumātua. Yeah, so that's all from me. Ngā mihi.
Kia ora, thanks, Councillor. Right, moving on to the resolution register. Hand over to Tanya.
Kia ora koutou. So we're on page 120. Just take you through them. So C287 is around our waste contract, so we're recommending that stays on. C331 is the Ōtorohanga Reserve Strategy and Management Plan, and we've got a couple of meetings that we need to have. I'm assuming that should say that this should stay on the resolutions register. It doesn't, but looking at Ross, yes, he's nodding. C332 is around the joint submission, which has been submitted, so we can remove that, recommending we can remove that. And C333 is around the options analysis process for local water done well, which has been completed, so we're recommending that can be removed. And then the C334 is around local water done well communication and engagement plan, and we're recommending that that stays on until the consultation period is closed and a hearing is held. Final one, C335, is just around the order of candidate names on voting papers, and we're recommending that can be removed.
Thank you. Any questions? No? Then we have the staff recommendation that Ōtorohanga District Council confirm the removal of resolution C332, C333 and C335 from the register. We have Councillor Johnson, second by Councillor Christensen. All in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Now I'll move that we go into public excluded. Seconded Councillor Prendergast. And I'll wait for Dave to take us off here.